Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, June 20th, 2024 for the Community of the Year and the best place in Iowa to raise a family and grow a business. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jensen?
Here.
Mr. Harper?
Here.
Mr. Miskman?
Here.
Mayor Abu-Wasley?
Here.
Ms. Menzer? Here. Mr. Brandt?
Here.
Mr. Sterned?
Here. Thank you. At this time, we have a moment of silence. Thank you. First on the agenda this evening is a proclamation for Pride Month, and I believe our Deputy City Manager will accept it. I'll come down and read it. Oh, we have a photographer too. All right. Whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities across the nation annually celebrate Pride in their community during the month of June. Whereas the annual celebration of Pride began as a collective protest for the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals and communities. And whereas the national tradition of celebrating Pride in June is a tribute to the Stonewall riots of June 1969, which are remembered as the launch of the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. And whereas the city of Marion recognizes the many LGBTQ+ individuals who continue to face difficult challenges in pursuit of living out their authentic identities. And whereas the city of Marion embraces the values of inclusion, equity, fairness, justice, and belonging for all people. And whereas the city of Marion welcomes and accepts all people of diverse sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions, and is proud to celebrate their contributions and the value they add to our city. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Abu-Wasley, Mayor of the City of Marion, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of June as Pride Month in the City of Marion and urge residents to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists, work to build a community where all people belong and are valued, and to celebrate diversity as an asset and strength of our community.
Good, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is one of my favorite things, which is recognizing promotions in our team. So we have Fire Chief Fagan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's always a great time when we have an opportunity to recognize the achievements of our teammates. This evening, we're recognizing Lieutenant Zach Bruce for his completion of the Managing Officer Program at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. The Managing Officer Program is a multi-year program designed for first and mid-level fire officers that introduces leaders to skills surrounding change management, risk reduction, and adaptive leadership. Within the past 12 months, Lieutenant Bruce has grown significantly, not only through his achievement of promotion in rank, but also as demonstrated by attaining his professional designation as a credentialed fire officer through the Center for Public Safety Excellence, one of 5 within Marion and one of 20 in the state of Iowa. Not that we're competitive, but that translates to 25% of the pool. This gives me confidence that we're building a stellar team here in Marion. Lieutenant Bruce regularly demonstrates his commitment to excellence in the fire service and is unquestionably a leader within our organization. We're proud of you, Zach. Please join me in a round of applause to congratulate Zach on his achievement. No.
You guys together.
Yep, done with that.
So do we have the next one, the promotion? Yes, go ahead.
All right. Nick. Okay. As we've heard previously from Chief Kitzmiller, one of the best parts of being a chief is having both the responsibility and honor of selecting individuals for promotion and rank. And I absolutely agree. These decisions are crucial as we build formal leadership influences within the department to most effectively execute our mission while also reaching for our vision of continuous organizational improvement. The role of the company officer is the most critical position within the fire service. They are the crew boss of a company of firefighters, supervising a team put to task and the interface manager to our residents and businesses in their greatest time of need, frequently the worst moment in one of our residents' lives. The company officer wears many hats: mentor, manager, coach, instructor, supervisor, and last but most importantly, leader. Nick Thompson embodies these traits. Nick has committed to excellence in his efforts towards professional development as a certified paramedic, a member of the state of Iowa's Urban Search and Rescue, or USAR Task Force 1, and is one of Marion's 5 professionally credentialed fire officers through the Center for Public Safety Excellence. As I mentioned previously, of 20 in the state of Iowa. Even before Nick's promotion, I was approached by several department members who commented on his influence in personally supporting their development, as if he was taking personal responsibility for their development and success as a peer and teammate. This is extreme ownership and an excellent characteristic of a leader. It is my honor to promote Nick Thompson to the role of company officer and to the rank of lieutenant. I have no doubt he will continue to lead our team and help keep our community safe. Please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Nick Thompson. So I think we have some members of Nick's family who's going to come up and pin his badge for him. So, yes, Shannon.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. It's always wonderful to see the teammates come out to help honor and recognize their teammate. It says a lot about the individuals in the department and the leadership. So thank you all for being here. All right, next item is a public forum. I will read the rules for public forums at these council meetings. We ask all those who wish to address the council to complete a yellow comment card. It can be found at the podium or at the end of the staff table. Please complete the card and give it to the city clerk prior to speaking. If you have anything to deliver to the city council, such as materials, please don't approach the dais, but hand the materials to the city clerk and she will distribute them to the council. You're encouraged to state your name and address and your group affiliation. Please limit remarks to 5 minutes. If any comments have already been stated by others, please don't repeat what others have already said. Speakers are asked not to engage in conduct or speech that is imminently threatening or which incites violence or which is obscene. We ask that speakers not avoid repeating comments, as I said, that have been already shared. We ask speakers not to engage in conduct, or anyone attending the meeting not to engage in conduct that disrupts the orderly progress of the meeting or engages in speech or conduct which interferes with the ability of others to participate in the meeting. Please don't disparage any individuals. Keep your comments to the issue that is of concern to you. And failure to adhere to the guidelines may result in removal from the meeting. At this time, we have the public forum, which is a time that is set aside for comments from members of the public on any topic that is on the agenda but not associated with the public hearing. If your comments are related to a public hearing, there will be time to address council at that time. If your comments are related to something that is not on the agenda, there will be another period for public comment at the end of the meeting. So at this time, if anyone's here to address council on any topic that is on the agenda but not part of a public hearing, please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening,
Welcome.
and thank you. My name is Connie Hoskins. I live at 1050 South 26th Street in Marion. And the reason that we are here with my partner, John Dixon, and we are really concerned with the fireworks. I would like to know why the full-blown fireworks are allowed in residential areas. Last year, we had a huge problem, a real fire hazard. Our neighbors, right, just 2 doors down from us, spend thousands of dollars on fireworks. We have a neighbor across the street and their neighbor behind them spends over $10,000 worth of fireworks. They're being shot all over. Neighbors hate it. Dogs are scared to death, kids are scared to death, but more importantly, it's the damage that it's doing to roofs. We had to have an inspector come out and check our roof. It cost us $200, and we shouldn't have to do that. I don't feel, as part of a 4th of July celebration. And so I was just wondering, why is it allowed for full-blown fireworks in residential areas?
Sure. I can address that, and then we can also get you more information after the meeting, but I'll briefly address it. We're not allowed to prohibit the sales of fireworks. That by state law, we are required to allow them to be sold in our city.
Yeah,
And
I
so
understand
everyone
the
are
killing
sold.
of them, but
Sure.
the shooting off of
Right.
them.
And,
And then, the other thing I was talking to, someone who used to be part of a huge organization that
Sure.
their big moneymaker would be, to go out in a field and then where they sponsor all these fireworks, just as a moneymaker. Well, now that it's allowed for people that live in residential areas to buy their own, thousands and thousands of dollars worth, they don't support the organizations that are trying to be beneficial to a community.
I completely understand your comments,
Mhm.
and I may personally agree, but the reality is that when people are allowed to buy them, they're going to use them. We've seen that from neighboring cities that have completely banned the use. They have many more calls than we do even to the police department for people illegally using fireworks. We allow 1 day for their use and then again on New Year's Eve, but it's impossible to almost, the enforcement is impossible because by the time they're using them, by the time the police department get there, you know, they could disappear and they're not there anymore. So it's just a very difficult situation. Plus, we have almost the same numbers of people in the city who indicate they're in support of allowing the use as we do people who are not in support. So it's that's a very difficult situation for us as a city council, but thank you for your comments, and we can send you more information if you would like, if we have your contact information about just the whole thought process of why we allow them for 1 day and what the statistics are in terms of violations and those kinds of things and calls to the police department.
Okay, thank you for your time.
No, appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else to address council, please come forward. Okay, seeing that no one's coming forward, we'll close this part of the meeting and proceed to the consent agenda.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. Items A1 through F2, resolutions 31979 through 31991.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, including resolutions 31979 through 31991. Discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. For the next part of the meeting, I'll turn over the meeting to the mayor, the deputy mayor pro tem.
Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abu Osley's abstention. This will include one item, F1, and its resolution number 31992.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the mayor's abstention as follows. Item F1, resolution number 31992. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries. I'll pass the meeting back to the mayor.
Our next item is a public hearing regarding the 2024 Fire Training Tower Site Plan. We have a presentation from the city engineer.
Yes, Your Honor. So as we talked on Tuesday during the work session, we talked about this area a little bit. So this is basically, the location is between the existing public service facility and the new public service facility. It's where our windrows are right now for our compost, to give you kind of some background on where it's at. So it has an early start date of July 29th, a late start date of September 3rd, 40 working days, $300 per day in liquidated damages. We did get 4 bids. The low bid came in from Abode Construction at $274,800.25. It was only 50% of the engineer's estimate. The detailed bid package that's in the council packet, I just want to point out, items number 7 is the sub base granular 6-inch. Our engineer used $15 a square yard. That's normally the price for a foot instead of 6 inches. So that's an overestimation. So you can see our estimation on that was $104,000. The bid was only $36,000. The other large item number 28 is the foundation. So with the actual structure, we had a structural engineer that's independent that gave that estimate. Their estimate was $150,000 for that. The low bid came in at $55,730. So both those items right there are large items, and that's why we see such a decrease in price, but we would much rather be low than high. So we'd have our engineer estimate high and the bids come in lower. There is a little bit of spread between them. That has to do with this time of season. So a Boomerang, for example, they might be booked for the season versus a Bode might be looking for work. So when you bid in a climate like this, you're gonna get some variation in the bids versus when we bid our projects in the spring, that changes things. And so this, we had to wait until we got through our CIP process and have the money available. So we're not allowed to bid a project until the money is available. So again, kind of zooming into the project. So it's this road, if you came to the tour on Tuesday, this is the road that you came in on. It's building a rock subbase here. This is the eastern building where we're doing the training tower now. There's a future burn tower that will go on the other side that we're gonna go ahead and grade and get the utilities ready for. And then there'll be another package that's released where it will be bidding the structure itself, since we'll have the foundation ready to go for them, and they'll come with their materials and erect it. And then we will actually have a third package that comes to city council for consideration, and that will be the paving package. And that way they're not destroying the paving that's out there while they're building the structure. So then they can work off the rock subbase. So we are recommending proceeding with the plans and the bids and awarding to Abode Construction. I don't know if you want to talk now.
Chief, you have something to add?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Just really expressing our excitement about this project. It's really a great thing. I know when we look in the funding mechanisms for this with the donation that came in 2014 from the DeVault family, that being now fully conceptualized and coming into fruition is a great honor to that family and to what's to come, furthering public safety in Marion. And this is just a fantastic project. I know our team is very excited about it. But one of the things that we talked about, that this is really broadly a public safety training facility. One of the towers specifically will be focused for Class A burning, so there will be live fire in it. But the tower that is planned to be erected later this year will be an opportunity for a myriad of agencies to train within it, which is furthering, with heightened training opportunities, makes us that much more efficient and effective at our jobs, thus in turn a safer community. So very excited. Wanted to thank the many departments that are a part of this project from the beginning. We coordinated with really the water department, planning, buildings, the manager's office, to really come together to make this project come together. And as a fairly newer member of the team, that's really a neat thing to be a part of. So probably spent too much talking, but just we're really excited about this moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, the public hearing is open. If anyone is here to address council either in favor or in opposition to this measure, please come forward. I'll ask the staff if we received any comments outside the meeting.
I have not received any.
We have not.
Okay, please note that in the record. We'll close the public hearing. And for the next item, I will turn over the meeting to the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem.
Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the project calendar regarding the 2024 Fire Training Tower Site Plan as follows, resolutions 31993 through 31994.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar regarding the 2024 Fire Training Tower Site Plan as follows, resolutions 31993 through 31994. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Grant.
Yeah, Mike, just a question that I failed to ask on Tuesday. For the total project, all construction done, what's the target date for that? So all elements, the physical above ground, both towers, what are we thinking we're gonna have an operable facility?
Well, our hope is with some cooperative weather that we can have the entire project completed by the fall of 2025.
Okay,
That's our goal.
okay,
But I know there's obviously a lot of opportunities for some challenges along the way, but we've got our fingers crossed that that's our target.
Right, so this is a multi-phase project and that's the target end date for the full completion.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, two questions, Chief. First question for you. Where else around Eastern Iowa where else are there other training towers or facilities similar to this?
I don't believe there's anything really in Eastern Iowa that will match
Really?
having both the isolated Class A burn facility and the training tower. One of the things that we're really excited about this, a lot of questions and historically have come up on, well, why aren't they combined into one building? And some of them are across the country. There are some other regional training facilities where they do have Class A burning or burning within the training tower. One of the things as we're focusing on the health and safety of our team as we move forward is really controlling exposures. So by separating where we actually do burning in that separate, as you'll see on the screen there, it would be on the left side. That will be where it's essentially a hot zone to where we will be controlling potential exposure to carcinogens and those types of toxins. That's why we wear personal protective equipment. In the other building, the training tower, we'll be able to do simulations in there with plumbed theatrical smoke, but there will not actually be any toxins that are introduced into that building. So that'll allow us to train in a safer environment without exposing our firefighters. There's also other props that are included in that separate tower. So by separating the two evolutions, it allows us to train more safely and reduce risk to our team. So that is one difference and one of the unique facets of this design, really focusing on the health and wellness of our responders. It also opens up that training tower to be used by other industries, right? Law enforcement, emergency management, even public services as we train for emergency management operations without them going into a facility that would have previously been involved in fire.
Well, it sounds to me like it's going to be a terrific asset, not only for our city, but for Eastern Iowa. Second question is from Mike. So the foundation, our city estimate was done by a structural engineer. The estimate was $150,000. The cost came in at about a third of that. Now, so can you tell me why there's such a spread? I mean, I'm assuming they're meeting the specs. They have to meet the specs, but that seems like a much larger spread than I would ever anticipate.
Yeah, so I don't know, so the manufacturers of the actual tower, they provided the structural engineer. That's where the number came from.
Okay.
So it's not one that I'm typically using, but I can tell you generally when we use a consultant, they want to make sure that they're not low. So they generally inflate their number quite a bit. I can tell you, we're going to be doing an inspection. It's going to meet specs. So the number is what the number is. I can't complain about getting a cheap number.
So in other words, we got a couple situations where the estimates were just extremely high compared to what the somebody that's really hungry for this project came in with a very attractive.
Yeah, so looking at those two numbers, if you isolate just item number 7, item number 28, you'll see why the number's so low.
And yeah, and a lot of them across the board were lower than our estimates as well. All right.
Yep. And again, it's an estimate. So.
Yep, I understand. Yeah, anytime I see that kind of a spread, I always say, all right, what's missing? Is it too good to be true? And I know they have to meet our specs.
Yep.
So from that standpoint, I'm pretty comfortable with what'll happen so that you're going to be inspecting that down the line. So.
And I can tell you Bode's here in town.
Right.
We've done a lot of projects with
Yep.
them, so I don't have any reason not to fear their number. I will comment on Harper. We talked about the multi-phase. There is one other phase that we were trying to figure out. So this is where we put our compost rows right now. So that is something where we may need to get those moved over to the east side of 44th. And so there likely will be a change order that comes back to city council because it came in so cheap to have those forces move stuff that we need to have moved to make room for this rather than use our internal sources when we could be doing other projects such as moving in a new facility or doing our normal day-to-day operations.
Right, okay,
So that change order likely will be coming back.
all right, thanks, that's helpful to know too.
Will, did you have something?
My question got asked and answered, but Randy.
Andy, you going?
Yep, thank you.
Just a couple real quick things. First of all, this is super exciting because I was on the department when we received this bequeath. That was still trying to be earmarked for a special project. So this is an incredible opportunity to see this come to fruition. I had a couple quick, I had one comment and then one quick question, I think for the chief maybe. Currently, right now, our ISO rating in the city of Marion is a 3. So this training tower and facility is going to help us maintain that ISO rating and also help us move the needle to get a 2 rating. And when we see that, all property owners, commercial and residential, will reap the rewards of having a lower ISO rating. So if I'm still correct on that, Chief, this will help us move that needle. So that's super exciting. The second thing is I might have overlooked something in the packet and I apologize. There was talk at some point, I'm assuming we will be maintaining control over the towers and the facilities, but are we sharing any expenses with those other entities to help offset wear, tear and depreciation on these facilities as we move forward and they're going to continue to need to be maintained?
That's the plan. Yeah. So as a part of the CIP project proposal, we are estimating an annual operating cost expense of about $15,000 a year. As we move forward with our partnerships and collaboration in the region, we're going to be looking for opportunities to, get agreements in place to help recover costs with training opportunities and collaboration with peers. So yes, we are going to pursue cost recovery to help support that.
Thank you. This again, just is going to put from our emergency services standpoint, it's going to really put Marion on the map from central to eastern Iowa as being looked at as a collaboration for training and further development. So good job.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the project calendar regarding the 2024 fire training tower site plans as follows, resolutions 31993 through 31994, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Motion carries with the mayor's abstention. I'll pass it back to the mayor.
Thank you. It's great to see this finally happening. We've talked about it ever since I've been on council. And certainly since the city received that request. So it's good to see it taking place. All right, the next item on the agenda is the second public forum, which is a time set aside for comments from members of the public on any topic. The same rules as I shared at the beginning of the meeting apply to this forum also. Is there anyone here to address council? Please come forward. Welcome.
Set that up there. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, my name is Craig Reardon. I live at 1000 Creek Bend Court in Marion, which is just behind, it's on the west end of Grand Avenue, just behind Menards there. As you know, we have that sewer reconstruction project going on in that area. And currently the trailhead that starts at Grand Avenue and runs south down to the Crumbolts and what's probably going to be called the Seymour Trail. That section of the trail is currently closed for access by the construction company. I'm a daily user of the trail. I'm on there a couple times every day, going everywhere from breakfast to my office in downtown Marion to just out for a walk with my wife. And I'm also an attendee at your Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Been attending those meetings for about 6 years. So I have a little bit of an idea of what's going on the trails in Marion. I've got 3 problems with this trail closure that we have right now. And I know we're right in the middle of it. It might be a little bit late to address, but I need to bring them up. 1, I think it's unnecessary to close the trail. 2, I think it's being managed poorly. And 3, I think it doesn't follow state law. With respect to it being unnecessary, we have vehicles that travel down that trail. And for the most part, they're personal vehicles. It's people going to and from the job site who work there. And those same vehicles drive down 11th Street, they drive down Grand Avenue, and they don't bump into anything for the most part. They don't run over pedestrians. They don't run over bicycles, people walking their dogs, bump into other cars. They're pretty safe. But for some reason, we think that they can't drive 500 feet down a little piece of trail without killing everybody that might also be there. Second, the pedestrians and the bicyclists who are on that trail, we're well aware that there can be other types of traffic. And so if you're ever on that trail, you regularly run into Marion Parks Department trucks, mowers, backhoes, all kinds of equipment. And they look out for us and we look out for them. Even bicyclists on the trail, moving at a pretty good clip. As when I'm out walking, I know those are coming and I watch out for them. And for the most part, it's not a problem. So I don't think it's even necessary to have the trail closed at all. Second, I don't think it's being managed properly. The construction company opens up all the barriers so that they can get access to the job site during the day. And they leave them open. So they're just open all the time. So if you were to go by there right now, or maybe a little earlier than now, the trail's wide open and it looks to someone who's not familiar with what's going on there as if, is it closed? Is it not? I don't know. The thing's down, we can walk on it, I guess. Then on the weekends, when there's absolutely no work being done at all, and in the evenings, those barriers are up, everything's closed down. It's very clear that the trail is closed. But nobody can tell why. There's no work going on. And so it's not obvious why the trail is even closed. And the two combine together to give people the impression that we might as well just use it. On the weekends, there's nobody there. And during the day, it's open. So it's very confusing. It's being mismanaged. Third thing, I believe that the way that this was handled does not comply with the state law. As you know, in order to close a public trail, there has to be a resolution by this council to close the trail. And the city claims that because we had a plan and we put the places where all the signs were going to be to close the trail in that plan, and then we approved the plan, therefore we approved closing the trail and everything complies with the law. But I would ask, imagine if we didn't have that law. So there's no law that says that we have to have a resolution to close the trail. What would happen? Well, the city would make a plan.
You have 1 minute remaining.
The city would make a plan. They would put signs in the plan, then they would approve the plan, and everything would work just exactly the way it does now. So the city is behaving as if the law doesn't exist. The law exists for a reason. We should make conscious decisions about closing public spaces to the public. Here's what I'd like to propose. Need to pass a resolution to close this trail temporarily. When you do that, move the barrier from Grand Avenue 500 feet south so that it is blocking the job site, but allows access to the Crumboldt/Seymour Trail. And talk to your construction guys about handling those barriers better than they do so it can be more consistent. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
I have another entirely different topic that as long as I'm here,
Please go ahead.
I will talk about for a moment if you're cool with that.
Sure.
As you guys sit here, you look out on 6th Avenue and you look out on a section of beautiful sidewalk that I picture as part of the trail system. I think it's even in the map as being part of the trail system. There are no bicycles allowed on that beautiful, gorgeous 10 or 12 foot wide sidewalk that's part of the trail system from 7th Street to 15th Street on 6th Avenue by city ordinance. I don't believe that that ordinance has ever been enforced. And you guys are leaving money on the table. Like you could just plant a police officer somewhere along 6th Avenue and just print out citations for violating the bicycle law there. I think the city, if it wants to have this ordinance, which I personally disagree with, I think we ought to be able to ride on the sidewalk. If you're gonna have the ordinance, you gotta enforce it. And when somebody contacts the police department and says, why aren't you enforcing it? Someone in the police department ought to reply back, and they don't. So either enforce it or get rid of it and let people ride on the sidewalk or force them to ride in the street, one way or the other. All right, well, that was more than I thought I would get to
Thank you
say
for your
tonight.
comments.
Thanks.
Anyone else to address council, please come forward. Okay, we'll close the public forum, proceed to council comments. Councilmember Sternad?
I don't think I do either.
Okay. Great.
Well, yes, I do. Just very briefly, I want to thank Kim for the detailed briefing he gave to the MPO Policy Board today regarding the Washington DC trip regarding Tower Terrace. And I know that you and the team that went out were able to meet with several different critical constituency, certainly our congressional members, as well as then members from the Department of Transportation. So I just want to say thanks that I thought what you provided to the MPO this afternoon was spot on. So thanks.
I just want to congratulate the Marion boys baseball team and achieving the #1 ranking in the state. Quite an achievement.
Also, to talk a little further about what Grant talked about, Kim, Mike Barcelo, and myself were part of the fly-in to Washington DC last week as part of a larger group that was organized by the Economic Alliance and the Iowa City Chamber. It included mayors from 4 different cities, business representatives of various businesses, government representatives, the colleges and university had representatives, and it was just a great group of people to go out and talk about the priorities for our region with our state, with our legislators there, as well as we had a meeting with the Department of Transportation staff, and it was clear to me that that was very worthwhile, that Marion was definitely on their map after we finished our meeting. The entire visit to DC, I thought Marion really played a prominent role. We were first to speak at all the meetings. We really were treated as leading that whole endeavor. And so it just made me very proud. And we hope we'll get some positive news, but we'll see what happens here on the 24th with the first date for hearing regarding one of the grants. So the other item I want to talk about was we as a city partner with our community partners to participate in community orientation programs for summer interns who are here, and there are hundreds of them in the region every summer working at various companies. And as we know, we have workforce issues, and talent attraction is very important. And so we take the opportunity to showcase Marion when we participate in those events that are geared towards educating interns who are here from all over the country about the benefits of living in this area, and especially in Marion, and all the opportunities that they would have to enjoy their lives, to have great work opportunities, as well as quality of life opportunities and recreation, culture, and the opportunity to make an impact in a place like this. And so we had about 40 people. This took place while we were in DC, so I wasn't able to personally participate as I have in the past years, but I understood there were about 40 people that came to the Marion event and got the orientation on what it's like to live in Marion and why it's a great place to be. So I want to thank our community partners for doing that. And then just on Saturday, I had the opportunity to go to be at the Marion Civil Rights Commission booth along with Councilmember Muskimin at the Juneteenth Festival in Newbo, which was hosted by the African American Museum of Iowa. And the fun part about that was seeing the excitement around the Marion booth, because people were walking up and sharing with us that they lived in Marion, how much they loved living in Marion. And I met two different individuals, or one family and another individual who shared that they moved to Marion sight unseen. They just did their research about where there's a good place to live. And they decided to move here and then hired a realtor and bought a house. And I'm hearing that more and more. Everywhere I go, I hear that. People, I was at Hy-Vee earlier that morning, and a longtime resident, was sharing with me how pleased he was with the work that the city was doing and the direction we're taking. And someone else was standing there listening, and she called me over and said, I just moved here and I couldn't be happier. And I just, again, we're not perfect. We always have things we can work on. We can always do better. We can always reach higher. But we're on the right track, and our residents are noticing, and by and large, they're satisfied and happy with the services that they receive from our city. I just encourage everyone to keep working harder, keep taking that extra step, make the extra effort to better serve the residents of Marion and give them the quality of life that they want and the services that they want. And I appreciate everything that everyone does on our team to truly make Marion a standout community and a place where people truly want to be. So thank you. Meeting is adjourned. We'll see you next time.